Namo agre vadhaya cha, dure vadhaya cha. That means one who slays or kills from the front, agre, in the front. Agre also means up front, in the beginning itself. It is also in the very beginning, even before any transaction starts, you might just slay the person or the entity or the idea. Agre vadhaya cha, dure vadhaya cha, from distance also. So on the face of it, it looks very simple. That is, this Yajus speaks of the samhara karya of the Lord. So when you are a Shiva Bhakta, he stands in front of you and protects you by killing your enemies. So similarly, we cannot be on guard all the time. Say at some point, say for example, we are here very quietly sitting in what we believe is a very secure and safe environment, but we don't know from where a disaster can come and how it could happen. So he protects us even though we are unaware of his protection, because not all times you will be able to contemplate on Shiva. So therefore you are not even seeking his protection. Even then he may slay the enemies even before they occur. It is something like, for example, we have our immune system, and then we are constantly bombarded by a number of killer diseases. But how is it we are not being affected by any of them? It is because dure vadhaya cha, agre vadhaya cha, dure vadhaya cha. So until such time his protection is there. As soon as our time comes, then he can be agre vadhaya cha. The same virus can come and attack us. The same difficulty can come and attack us. So therefore he can be both a samhara kartru and also one who is a protector. A very interesting situation is there in the Mahabharata. So in the Drona Parva of Mahabharata, Arjuna will have entered into the war field. So he says, Krishna, I am surprised to see, as I am entering in and then breaking the formations of the opposite army, I see this blazing person, blazing like Agni, who is going before me with an uplifted trident, with a trishula, and then as I am advancing, he is killing all the enemies. But they are all still alive and standing. So all I have to do is I have to go and pierce them with an arrow or shoot them with an arrow or use my sword, and they are falling down and dying. So who is this? And then all I did was just to follow this Agre Swarupa who is holding the trident and killing Krishna. Who is this? And Krishna replies, he is Rudra. He is the one who is actually killing. And then when we see lot of death and destruction around us, then the first thing that comes is the emotion that overcomes us is fear. When death and destruction is there, we get scared. You can remember, Damshtra Karala Necha Te Mukhani Trishtwaiva Kalanila Sannibhani Disho Najane Nalabhe Cha Sharma. Sharma means comfort. It's a sense of relaxation. Na Sharma. Prasida Devesha Jagannivasa, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 25. So, in the same chapter 11, verse number 33, Krishna himself says, Mayai Vaite Nihata Purvameva Nimitta Matram Bhavasavyasachin. I have already killed all of these people. They are just standing there. They are what we call in Sanskrit as Jivachavas. So they are all just Jivachavas. So they are all already dead. All you do is you take the weapon and push them down. That is all. So similarly, therefore he is Agre Vadhaya cha, Dure Vadhaya cha. The next mantra is Namo Hantre cha, Haniyase cha. Again, this also means one who is in every killer. Hantre. Hantru means one who kills. One who kills means not just the body or the mind, the anger, but who is inside him. For example, that Hantra, the killer, is already in us. How? As soon as there is Janma, there is old age is going to come, then Vyadhi is going to come, viruses are going to come, difficulties will come. So Hantru is already there within us. So Hantrecha.
What about that desire to kill? That can also
Haniyasecha. So everyone kills another. Adyate techa bhutani. You remember that mantra from the Taittiriya Upanishad? So every bhuta lives only by eating another life form. So therefore, we are also Haniyasecha. In us, he remains as Haniyasecha. So the one anger, then the killing instinct, the possibility of being killed, all these things are arising out of Ahankara only, and Rudramsha in every one of us is Ahankara. Ahankara means not just ego. It is a sense of I. Therefore, I want to protect myself. Or I want to kill somebody so I can be protected. So this Rudramsha Ahankara is the Haniyas, Hantrecha. So why Haniyasecha? It is because at the killing that happens at Pralaya Kala, at that point of time, Rudra is called Haniyasa, Haniyasecha. So Hantre means everyday death and destruction. Haniyase means one final one. So the importance of these two mantras together we have to see Agre Vadhayacha, Dure Vadhayacha and Hantrecha, Haniyasecha. There are two important aspects to note here. Every Srishti must end in Laya only. So at Srishti Kala, Rudra is Dure Vadhaya. At Laya Kala, Rudra is Agre Vadhaya. That means to say, the Samhara Karya of Rudra will happen at the appropriate time, and therefore he is also Kala Kala. He is the time of time. So that is how he manages the Layakarta. So number one. Number two, while we should have empathy and compassion, which is karuna, there should be no shoka. That is the subtext of this. It is because the death and destruction, for whatever reason, is going to happen. So all of those things we have got to look at it with empathy and compassion, but not experience shoka. Because Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyerthe natvam shochitam arhasi. So therefore shoka is not sustainable, but karuna is what we have to substitute. So Rudra is teaching us by being Agre Vadhaya, Dure Vadhaya, Hantre Haniyase, while you should be empathetic, while you should have all the compassion, you should not be burdened and you should not make yourself weakened by shoka. In fact, there is a beautiful conversation that Vedavyasa comes because at the death of Abhimanyu, Yudhishthira becomes inconsolable. So Vedavyasa comes to console him. He says that Abhimanyu has died a Virasvarga, the kind of gati, the kind of final abode he goes to, is something all the yogis go, those who are in great dhyana go, all the maharshis go, that is the place he has gone. So, while everybody is very empathetic and there is karuna with the way in which Abhimanyu was killed, the shoka is not sustainable because he has gone into that state of Virasvarga. One boy, a 16-year-old boy, with such valor, with so many Maharathis surrounding him, that itself is a vindication of his prowess. So, now the question is how to cultivate this endurance this titiksha, this sahishnuta towards the terrible happenings that are going on all around us. How do you deal with ISIS? How do you deal with it? Therefore, at that point of time, the way in which we have to fight that evil is we must be agre vadhayacha, dure vadhayacha. And then this brings us to another interesting point, that is, all this death and destruction is going to cause us shoka, but this shoka has got to be overcome also. But when you are in the thick, in the very midst of that shoka, how can you console a person? How to prepare for that? Again, Mahabharata. If you go back to Mahabharata, Abhimanyu's death is a turning point in dharma. Fall of Bhishma is a turning point of the dharma yuddha. Once you see fall of Bhishma is over, the dharma yuddha which Bhishma enforced will no longer be valid. So, that's exactly what is happening in contemporary society also. Everywhere, wherever you turn your eyes, whichever channel you switch on, you see adharma. There is a tandava, nritya of adharma. For instance, the other day in Alabama, that old man being probably you must have seen that grandfather done by the police. How do you reconcile that? How do you handle this? So can we get so weak that we cannot step out of the house? Any one of us fearing that such a thing can happen to me? That's not possible. That should not be there. Therefore, Krishna gives a very beautiful solution. He says that solution is you have to do Aradhana of Shiva. He gives a religious solution. The religious solution that he gives is, after Abhimanyu has died, that night Krishna and Arjuna perform Archana for Shiva. And in that particular situation, there is an extraordinarily beautiful prayer that Krishna and Arjuna pray to Shiva, which is an epitomization of the entire Rudradhyaya. So I'll send an email of all those prayers. You will see that the most significant namas from the Rudradhyaya are taken and rearranged in the form of a lovely prayer in Anushtup Chandas in the Mahabharata. That I will send you, so that you can add it as an additional notes to your study of the Rudra. So this is the religious solution that we can give to combat dukkha that might come in future. Because Abhimanyu's death is only the beginning. Abhimanyu's death is the first terrible death that we have seen in the Mahabharata war. We are going to see worse things. We are going to see the fall of Drona. We are going to see the fall of many, many noble soldiers. 18 Akshohini Sainya is going to be wiped out. There is going to be a flow of blood. Every woman, child will be crying, not just then, for centuries to come. How do you steel yourself to that? The only way you can do it is, 1, by worship, 2, by resorting to a dhyana. And that meditation is also indicated in the contemplation on these 4 names. Namo agre vadhaya cha, dure vadhaya cha, namo hantre cha, haniyase cha. Very significant mantras, because all other mantras can extol, praise the Lord, and then pay all kinds of tributes. But here there is a paradigm shift in our looking at saying that how do we handle tragedy? How do we handle inexplicable tragedy? How do we handle a tragedy that should not happen, but will happen? So that is the essence of these 4 mantras. We'll continue next week.